Pain Train Pipebomb Productions presents Pipebomb Radio NYC. Sponsored by Fanatics, TickPick, RenderForest, Steiner Sports, and Walmart. Here are your DJs, Ricky, the master of mayhem Litwinkowicz, and Lars, the Viking Johnson. Pipebomb Radio NYC. It's not just a name, it's an attitude. Welcome everybody to another edition of Pipebomb Radio NYC, being recorded on April 25th, 2023. And I am not alone in the studio this week, or today, or whenever you watch this goddamn video. I am here with my faithful co-host all the way from the lovely country of Sweden, Lars the Viking Johnson.
Yes, I'm here. Privileged to be here.
And all the way from the UK, we have a special guest group on with us today. It is the guys from Silence in Surrender. It's Ben, Pete, and Paul. What's up, gentlemen?
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
So how is it going over there, guys?
Pretty well, I think. Yeah, we're all good. It's spring's around the corner. We've got a new album out soon. It's all looking pretty positive.
Nice.
Believe it or not, I've been keeping track of you guys on the Book of Face, and I've been keeping an eye out on the YouTube. I have subscribed to the YouTube under the conspicuous name because I haven't done anything on the other name yet. But I've been keeping track on that. Been sharing a lot of the videos out for you guys to get you guys a little bit more notoriety from here.
Oh, thank you.
Because the United States doesn't really get the privileges of knowing everything from across the pond. And a lot of my friends have said they absolutely have enjoyed the music. So before we get into the new album release and stuff, it's the get to know you guys session of Pipebomb Radio NYC. And as usual, I will let all of our fans and people get to see this video to know this is no holds barred. We don't hold anything back. If you hear an F-bomb and you get mad at me, fuck off. That's all I got to say. Because, at this point in time, there are no rules. It's all attitude. That's the way we roll. All right. So we're going to go around the room there. Paul.
Hello.
Your musical influences that got you started.
That got me started. Well, that's quite a long list, but yeah, they're quite varied. I mean, I like anything from sort of all the way from classic rock up to kind of traditional metalcore. So I think we've all gone through phases in our lives, but I think the bands that really got me into kind of heavier stuff, probably think around the new metal phase is really where I started picking up heavier music. So we're talking about Slipknot, Linkin Park, things like that. From that point, I went further back and got into the classics, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Black Sabbath, all those kind of bands, and kind of went backwards from that point. And from then on, I've always had an eye on they've been my home bands. But I don't want to be kind of rooted in there, and I think the band in itself has a lot of influences from the 90s in there in terms of grunge, Nirvana, all those kind of bands that were around when we were growing up. That really kind of certainly went into my life. And I listened to these bands that were completely different. They were completely different to what was on the radio, completely different to everything else I was hearing, and kind of really, you have a bit of teenage angst, don't you? In your teenage years, you like a bit of aggression. No one understands you in those periods. So what do? You turn to music. So I kind of started in the 90s. Kind of a lot of the bands around there went back a little bit. But moving forward, I like to I listen to even the new stuff, gent and metalcore, and so quite a wide variety. But that's kind of a summary of my musical journey, I suppose.
All right, I'm going to pass it over to Pete now.
Hey man, so probably sort of from the early days of
like my dad playing like Queen and Zeppelin and Hendrix and bits and pieces like that. To me, that's when you really sort of, as a little kid, sort of see that there's something more exciting than, you know, the kind of music you generally hear as a kid on TV and on cartoons and that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what probably sort of turned me onto it initially. I didn't actually start playing the drums until I was in my 20s. So in terms of playing, I sort of came to it later, but from the early influences, that kind of thing, I would say, yeah.
And Ben?
Generally these days, I normally tend to go for anything, man. You know, any hole's a goal. You know, anything that comes my way, I'll be up for listening to. But if I had to pick two artists that made me pick up the guitar, it would be Kurt Cobain and Jimi Hendrix. Just to keep it simple, but generally speaking, I like everything from death metal to dance, pop music. You know, but they were the two motherfuckers that got me going. You know.
I got to tell you that you said Cobain and Hendrix, and there's not such a bigger wave in that comparisons to put the two of them together.
Yeah.
Because of the generational talents of the guitars.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I will say that I actually did watch a video on Hendrix recently, and there were times where he legit bent the shit out of the guitar just to get sounds that he wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you look at it like a regular bass style guitar, like it's pretty much flat.
Yeah.
With him, he would legit bend the neck. He'd get the neck bent enough that he could stretch out the strings even further.
Yeah, exactly.
To get some of the sounds, which I don't know if anybody in this day and age, maybe you guys, but I don't think anybody goes to that extreme now with using pedals and all sorts of amps and stuff to get those sounds.
Yeah. I mean, he absolutely abused his guitars, man. I mean, I hope he didn't treat his women the same way. You know, you're talking about the throttling of the necks and shit, you know.
Well, he didn't need to. He went to bed with his guitars. He didn't go to bed with his guitar, so he didn't.
But watching Woodstock, and I was just like fucking blown away, man. I wasn't even doing drugs back then. I was only like 14, but I was just like, you know, my auntie got me into it. I was like, what the holy hell is this, man? Play the American anthem, that shit, and I was like, oh my god, man, mental.
Yeah, and the goal to just muck about on stage. He would literally, as you said, he would do it. It wouldn't be practicing it. He would almost just try it out on stage. You know, he would just start messing around with things, and that's kind of like he was fantastic, but he also loved it. You could tell he loved it, and you know, it was a real pure enjoyment of it because you could see it on stage. You know? And I suppose we'd love to have half the talent, I guess.
But, you know, I also find myself like going back to artists that I knew that existed, you know, from generations before, anything from like Bowie, Linkin Park and stuff, and fucking falling in love with them. I mean, I never discovered Tool until I was like in my mid-20s, mate. You know, I should be taken outside and being kicked the shit out of. Do you know what I mean? But I was like, what? Do you know what I mean? I knew of them, but I never actually listened to them. So as well as like new music that's coming out, I've still got a fucking backlog of artists and songs to get through from other eras, man. There's so much out there that I've missed out on, you know?
Is it I'll pop this question in quickie. There's no thoughts of any lighting of instruments on stage, right? On fire? You're not lighting any of them?
No, not yet. Not yet. All right. Can't afford it yet. But maybe
because if I see a flaming drum set, I'd be scared.
Yeah.
You can't get away with it. Okay. Fucking health and safety mad. Do you know what I mean? I'll be taken outside in handcuffs. Do you know what I mean? Like probably get done, you know, do a bit of time for 6 months for arson, you know?
Well, if you get an outdoor gig, then you didn't have to worry about lighting it on fire.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know? But I would be afraid of a flaming drum set. I think that would be kind of crazy. All right, so no ideas on that, all right?
Well, we'll send him some Keith Moon videos. He'll get some ideas.
Yes, do that. Do that instead. Music-wise, compared to the music of today, to the music of yesteryear, what do you see, where would you put yourselves more in that range? Would you put yourself more of the yesteryear kind of classic stuff to it, or would you put your more like the 2020 era?
I would probably put us in, not consciously, but in the era that we were brought up with, the noughties and the 90s and backwards. But that being said, because it's more generally guitar-based music, and then we're kind of just going off by what other people say. But I think, moving forward, even though that's our main influences, not deliberately, we're like looking at other artists, anything from like, Post Malone, you know, like fucking, you know,
Bring Me the Horizon.
Lana Del Rey, and Bring Me the Horizon. Just, you know, just seeing what the young whippersnappers are up to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so we've got a core. You know, we've been told we remind people of things like Faith No More and Nirvana and Soundgarden, things like those bands, which obviously were big.
They were all
influences.
drunk as well, by the way.
But either way,
you know, like
Clutch, kind of those as well, kind of those bands. But I think we're obviously trying to take that music and sort of develop it and you know, not rehash what's already been done, because what made a lot of those bands great were they were different. You know, Soundgarden, Nirvana, they created a genre, as it were, in terms of grunge. So we've definitely got elements of that in there, but we're trying to take that, particularly on this new album. The first EP was very much kind of we were getting to know each other, and it was riff based but hard rock EP. This one's a lot more. We've definitely developed looked at different ways of creating music, and sort of added elements, progressive elements in certain areas, and even pop elements in there.
Still trying to figure out our sound as well, like, you know. So like I said, everything that we play
on a journey,
is going to sound like fucking 90s and stuff like that, because if you listen to music nowadays, especially even like metal and stuff like that, it normally tends to be, you know, a lot of kick, you know, synths and bass and the guitars normally tend to be sitting back, just how they kind of mix them. But generally speaking, we are still trying to figure out our sounds and improve, and, you know, take influences from, you know,
from to
bands from bygone eras, and also from, you know, modern day. But we're not particularly trying to get anything in particular, just trying to fucking write a good song if we can.
Yeah, I think we're trying to naturally evolve. I think the thing is, we're not forcing ourselves down a path. We came together with a shared love of a certain style of music, and now we've obviously kind of established that together, and that we work together, and now we all understand each other. We're kind of trying to be a bit more adventurous, I think, is on this next EP. Yeah.
So on the new,
hopefully
EP,
come to us.
When you said that, being adventurous.
Yeah, being adventurous.
Naughty
Wishes.
bugger.
Right.
on the new EP, how many songs are you getting on there?
The EP, there's 6.
So that's the old EP. So the first EP there was 6, but on the album, Theatopia, it's coming out in May. There's 12.
11 and a bonus track.
11 and a bonus. Yeah.
Nice.
Which will be out 19th of May.
Yes.
Yes, and I'll definitely be promoting the 19th of May.
Yeah.
You know, because it's funny that you say that May 19th, because if you are a big wrestling fan the same way I was, Kane's movie actually came out on May 19th.
Oh, right.
So there is a significant difference. You know, like, okay, May 19th, okay, I'm not getting killed by Kane. I'm listening to the new Silence is Surrender. That's the way we're going to move.
Too late to get on the soundtrack.
That direction.
For the movie.
You know what? I don't even know about that, but maybe. I don't know.
So, like, the name of your band, Silence and Surrender, how did you get to that?
Well, it's not too poignant or deep or anything. Basically, we were just we're in a band. Well, I'm not going to fucking lie. We're in a band and we're playing. And every time we said to our friends or people, like, we're in a band, like, oh, cool, you're in a band. First thing they'd always say, what's your name? And then we look like a bunch of amateurs and go, oh, we haven't got one. And then it's almost like saying, like, you know, I'm a man without a pair of balls. You know, you feel incomplete. So so we basically had an old song from our first bunch that we came up with, and it was called Silence and Surrender. We thought, that's not a bad name, and we needed a name anyway, so we just grabbed that one and walked with it. So, and it's kind of stuck now. So
yeah, I think also the acronym of SINS worked pretty well. But yeah, behind it, it's meant to reflect. You'll hear quite a lot of. There's been a lot of struggles in the world, and personal to all of us, and you can hopefully hear that in the music. In the first EP, there's Back in Line is about certain band members struggled with alcohol, and there are others quite even if the songs themselves are quite upbeat, the lyrics and everything, it's been quite dark for the last few years for most people on this planet.
Yeah.
And kind of, you know, it is about the struggle, you know, not surrendering, not staying silent. And we were doing the opposite, trying to get our message out there. And I suppose with music, I've always felt that when I hear people singing about these issues, you know, when you see your idols singing about, you know, how they've struggled with substance abuse, with loneliness and all of that, it really, on a personal level, it makes me feel less alone.
Yeah,
you know, it feels it's as well. If that guy's struggling with the same thing I'm struggling with, then I can continue. And you know, it gives me that kind of, and that's what music has done always through my life. It's been a support, a crutch, you know, a healthy crutch, hopefully, rather than some of the, let's just say, less than healthy crutches, which I'm sure you know, people may have turned to. So that's really kind of the basic behind the net.
You're talking about idols, man. All my idols were done and dusted by 27, man. The 27 Club.
Yeah.
That was in my deranged head as a kid. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to play music. I want to fucking.
And the Diet 27. Well. You missed that deadline.
Yeah. 8 years later, I'm still fucking lingering around on this mortal coil, you know. Yeah. I have to start a new club at 35.
We're well over the 27 deadline.
The over 40s, you know.
Okay, so now I have to ask this question. Don't take this the wrong way. This is just my humor.
Yeah.
Are all drummers quiet in the UK?
He saves his noise to the stage.
Because I'm sitting there. He's like, "Oh man, am I gonna get a word in?" Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you got to fight your way in, Pete, mate.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
that's why we sit
dogs.
That's why we sit at the back, man. So we're out of the way.
Okay, I have to ask this question, and it was kind of brought up to me when I was sharing some of the music out from YouTube. Where did the creativity of all of the black light come into play?
The black lights of the UV video for hunting season.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a Alice in Wonderland meets you know, I don't know, some kind of weird acid trip party. You know, you turn up to the Mad Hatter's party, you know, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? And really, it was just kind of trying to utilize the studio that we're in at the moment. We had to get all the black backdrops and then paint all the fucking signs and then get all the props and do all that kind of stuff. And it was just trying to take a simple concept and with a bit of elbow grease and a bit of effort, turn it into something, you know, visually interesting, if you know what I mean, rather than us just standing around in a warehouse, black t-shirts, looking all moody, you know. Do you know what I mean? We just thought, well, we might as well try something different. However that turned out, I don't know, you know.
Because of the fact that my nephew, first off, is like a huge fan of a lot of the music that we find. And he actually said that he kind of got a Marilyn Manson type feel after watching the video. So he was like, maybe there was a Manson influence to it.
Well,
but when he saw it, though, he was like, the color is just amazing on the video.
Yeah, yes.
Thanks, man.
I'm glad it came across because we were trying to be, you know, it's really hard for bands or anyone really to be noticed these days. We wanted to do something like Manson, but not take ourselves too seriously. Hopefully, you got the idea that we were portraying that we were having fun. We were having fun. You know, it's a lot of work sorting out the studio, but as soon as those lights came in, we were blowing up like balloons and like hanging things from the ceiling. It's a real kind of bonding thing for us together and the filmographer. He was really keen on the idea, and hopefully, as well as kind of giving that slightly creepy Manson vibe, also.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's almost like a bit of a juxtaposition, like, you know, like trying to go for something a bit creepy, but sort of contrasting it with like bright kind of almost rave colours, you know, and with a slight bit of humour, because we take the like our band seriously, the music seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. So we kind of reflect that. So you're talking about Manson, you know, I'm a huge fan of Manson. It's very creepy, kind of macabre, twisted fucking ways. You know, it's like, I think it's very cool.
But we didn't want to be like a copy, you know what I mean?
You don't want to copy, bro.
I mean, maybe some species of black light, but as it's, I mean,
to go with the way that you'd said that everything is kind of experimental, in a way, like every track that I've heard. It goes in. It's like the lotto machines. Like you're in one spot one time, you're in another spot another time. It pops off in so many different directions, but it gives it its own ambiance to whatever track it is that you guys put out.
Yeah.
Because nothing sounds the same.
Agree.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because we're trying to, obviously, that's the difficult thing, isn't it? To try keep it a cohesive whole, so it's that band, but also, sort of, follow the journey that we have been in terms of developing. But at that stage, there were some prog influences in there. You can hear probably that that's about the time that he got into Tool.
Part of it as well, it's just like the songwriting process. It's just like knowing what works, what don't. I mean, I can look back at the songs and go like, well, I won't be doing that again in the future. I like what happened there. Like some of the next songs after the album, we're going to base them a little bit more around, like the sort of more simple layout, but take some of the sort of the varieties and mix-ups in there, but not have it so stark changing at times. So there's little bits and pieces, so it's just all about the experimenting, really. And going back to the video, it's we're just trying to have fun with it, really. That's the number one thing. We didn't know how it's going to turn out, whether it was going to look shite or whether it was going to look, it actually turned out pretty well, to the credit of our camera guy and sort of, what do you call him? Was the guy, the little camera guy? Was it a producer? I don't know.
Video
the producer.
Yeah, editor, yeah. That dude. Anyway, but
that's usually something I would do, but no. But I gotta tell you though, like I watched the video again this morning before I went to bed at 6:30, because I was up, prepping for the show and everything else. But I watched the video and I'm like, the angles first off were great. The music is right off the bat great, and it was I think that it was just like the colors of all the different effects in the video kind of gives everybody a different perspective, from each a band member to like certain elevations and lows in the songs and the way that the beats go out. Like it's all uniform properly, and to be like I said, when you pop off in 15 different directions with music, it gives each band that unique, style. Yeah. Like I'm going to come into a show and I'll be like, I've heard the music before, but now when I go to see it live, I don't know which direction you guys are going to come from.
No, exactly.
And I think that's what gives
you want, disorder.
Creative chaos is what I usually call it, because again, you never know which direction I'm going to come from, and I kind of expect that out of a band when I go to see them live, or if I'm watching the videos, like I know there's ups and downs. So I give credit to every band that can come in and leave me kind of suspenseless, because I don't know what I'm going to get when I get there.
Exactly.
We appreciate that. That's
And Rick, it's like we have said in the latest interviews, like with the Escalate and everything, that the same with you, with Silence and Surrender, that each song that you hear, it's like it's not like the same, just going like boring in the long term. Like you never know what you're going to hear from your guys.
Exactly. You'll have the ones that's traditionally structured, but them aren't. And almost we deliberately went away from that because it's a formula that it does work for a reason. That whole verse chorus, bridge, but. And we do it. We do it on Theatopia. It's in that pattern, but a lot of the other songs aren't. So, and I think that was deliberate.
It's just literally the sole purpose of creating anything. It's like I was saying to you, Ricky, earlier about if it's not fun anymore, that's the source of doing it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So creating something, it's about having fun. So, like I said, there's some things where I'll listen to the songs and go, well, maybe that was a little bit too left field or whatnot. So maybe dial it back a little bit. But generally speaking, just let it flow wherever the creativity takes you. You don't take the creativity anywhere. You let it, guide you into the place. Do you know what I mean? And if it sounds good, it works. Just go with it.
Yeah, I mean.
So when you're writing a new song, like how do you do it? Like, is there one person in the band that do one thing, or do you collaborate and like doing it all together?
But generally, currently now, I would be playing. I'll come up with some stuff, whether it be some licks, chords, melodies, and then once I've got some bits and pieces, then me and Pete will sit down and then try and get some drums to it to get some more structure, to see where the song kind of is going, you know. Or sometimes a song might be, you know, you get those songs like, you know, when you're having a shit and it just comes out in one, you're like, oh, you know, that was easy, you don't need to wipe, you know, just pull your trousers up and get off, you know.
You're always supposed to wipe after you drop the deuce. Okay.
Have you been to Britain?
It's almost
we're heathens.
It's almost like
here,
polishing
mate.
it.
Sitting on our country.
We
have good hygiene.
We find a bush, we take a shit, and we walk off.
Okay, so if you don't wipe, do you at least use the bidet?
How did I get sat next to him?
Well,
I don't even know where I was going with that. I was going somewhere.
No, remember, the drummer is sitting behind you, so watch out.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that sometimes it basically comes out quite quick.
Yeah,
like,
just slips out. Yeah, sometimes it's like it comes splatting out. You know.
But other times, I mean, some of the songs have almost, he's taken parts of a song and you know, and almost they've grown. He's like planted. He's like, well, this isn't quite working together. I don't see this song working, but he's dismantled sort of old songs or different parts, and they've almost sort of he's planted that seed, and he's almost grown a song around that. Maybe that's not even analogy's not even better than your one. But you know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, it's a seed. So like, you know, but generally it is this man over here who comes up with the core ideas. They get together, and I pop in and try and add to it. Well, they're doing it in my studio, so you know that's how I take some of the credit.
But generally, we tend to have like a lot of. I mean, like we've got going up onto Spotify, we're going to have about 20 songs, but then we've got a fuckload of other songs as well. So it's always good to have plenty of, you know, plates spinning, because once you hit a brick wall with one, there's no point keep smashing your head against it. Just step back, work on another project. And then, because you want the excitement, once you start getting bored or stressed out, or you know, blind to, you know, not having a clue where to go next, just leave it, get onto the other projects, get the excitement going. When that stops, back to another one, and just keep juggling. Like I said, squiggly diddly. You know, lots of arms, lots of projects. Keep going. Otherwise,
so besides from the new album coming out on the 19th of May, do you have like any concerts? Do we have like a Scandinavia thing?
Oh yeah,
especially like Sweden.
I wish, mate. Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, so we've done a set of gigs for the last year. Although we've had a little bit of an issue with bassists. So we are looking at a way of maybe doing gigs in a different way, shall we say? So, but yeah, we're keen because we sort of got the bug. Not the literal bug. We got the gigging bug, but yeah, it's just.
He said herpes.
Goodness me, right?
Where did that one come from?
You dirty fucking bastard.
Yeah, so we enjoyed it, but yeah, it's well, you know, like we've all got our own commitments, and trying to get guys of our
boring
age.
jobs, he means, basically.
Yeah, guys of our age, you know, things pop in your life. I'm sure it's the same.
Real
for
life
guys.
issues.
You know, like women, kids,
I've got
all
women.
that good fun stuff.
Just this poor guy here's got the woman.
Am I the woman?
No,
I'm the woman.
He's the only one who sold his soul. Me and him are still free agents, aren't we, Peter?
Anyway, so yeah, we've.
I was actually going to ask that question later, but now I don't have to.
Right.
So thank you for that one. All right, we have music for everybody.
Nice.
Give us a little bit of a backstory on Coming Up.
Coming Up, just to sort of simplify it, it's just about just being in a very fucking shithole place, and you just accept that doesn't matter what you do and what you say, you just can't climb out of it, and you're just basically just accepting that is going to be the status quo indefinitely.
Yeah, so it's quite actually it's about a lot of mental health struggles that I think we've either personally experienced or have seen loved ones experience, and I think it's been a tough few years, isn't it, for everyone, being locked indoors, and you know, a lot of problems, people struggling, and it's kind of born out of that really, and not just that, but you know, we really felt that would resonate more with people, because of obviously a lot of people have had to struggle with it. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell, I think.
He's cut you off, hasn't he?
Oh,
all right. Well, actually, I just put the share audio on so you guys can hear the sound. I forgot to do that earlier because this is Pipebomb Radio and we fuck shit up all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so here it is, some Silence and Surrender coming up. When we come back, we are going to throw out the 5 questions of death and get to know the members of Silence and Surrender. I am the master of mayhem, and this is Pipebomb Radio NYC.
Long ways difficult to real. Gonna climb out so I can feel on the way down. Something
Hey, this is Lynn from SoundMachine FM, and you're listening to Pipebomb Radio, NYC.
Silence and Surrender coming up here on Pipebomb Radio NYC as we are joined with the gentlemen from Silence and Surrender, Ben, Pete, and Paul. Guys, fucking amazing.
Thanks, man.
I agree.
Fucking amazing. And I kind of had a thought while I was listening to the track. I think of things a lot of the times on the fly, like experimental, like you guys do. And I probably would use that track in kind of like a reverse psychology type of way.
Yeah.
And let me kind of explain that to you. So you're kind of, and you said before, you kind of saying like, okay, this is as far as I'm going to go, you know, kind of like I'm not going to get any further than what it is. I would use it as a different method. For example, like if I were to go to the gym, I would play this song to push myself, to make myself better than what I am. And I think that a lot of people really should kind of take that track and use that as like the stepping stool to say, hey, you know what? Fuck this mud that I'm stuck in right now. Let me dig myself out of this shit and get to the next level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think whilst the themes in some of our songs are quite negative, they're not meant to be. Our music isn't meant to be depressing.
It's cathartic more than sort of like trying to get people down. You're trying to get the bad stuff out rather than trying to make other people feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like you were saying there, like, so if I'm writing the lyrics about something particular or like that, for example, it's just kind of just venting off something, but really I'm thinking out loud what I should be doing to turn things around, if you know what I mean. So it's almost like the opposite to what I'm kind of writing, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Just writing it all down, you know, at what I'm feeling or what other people are feeling, and then I know, or we know what we need to do to move forward, if you know what I'm saying.
To come up.
So yeah.
Yes.
So eventually,
And I mean, the energy in the vocals in that track, I mean, it's like just fucking amazing. I love it.
Well, that's one of the things that it started off slow and kind of melodic a little bit, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking squeeze your nuts, and you're gonna move a little bit faster, and then boom, here it is. Like you get that full punch right there.
Yeah.
Again, which makes the music so unique.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the time frame on the build for that track?
That
one came together in terms of putting the music together. Actually, came together quicker than some of the other ones. I would say we sort of sat down within a few weeks, maybe, to get the bulk of it.
What was the time frame to get the whole album done? We had to get like, I don't know, probably like 9 or 10 out of the 12 songs done in 4 or 5 months,
something like that.
So yeah, we didn't have long because of obviously the fucking coof, you know. We won't go into that topic anyway, but our producer had some medical issues, so he was going to be out for a while, so we had to get everything done as quickly as possible. So
really focused minds, I think.
Yeah.
And as you say, you can't force creativity, but you can certainly kind of speed it up when there's a deadline.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that life is fucking boring as hell half the time, do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, I've got nothing else to do if I'm not working, so just fucking spend loads of time in the studio writing, do you know what I mean? So you can just sort of play ignorant to the shit and the mundaneness of life, you know?
Yeah, distraction from, you know, some of your struggles, I guess, and music is escape, I'm sure, for all of us and a lot of the people listening. You know, it's an escape, and it, you know, makes you feel stuff, and hopefully, you know, either stuff you're already feeling, or sometimes it completely change your mood, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now here is the point of the show where all of the shackles are taken off. Okay. For those that have not previously watched or listened to any of the Pipebomb Radio interviews that we've had, we have a segment called the 5 Questions of Death. Now, the 5 Questions of Death are not anything demonic.
Yeah.
There's no devil shit going on. These are the 5 questions to get the quirky little things about our guests on the show that people may not know about them, or may be the greatest conversational piece of going to meet them at a show. So here are the 5 questions of death. We're going to go around. First question. Now, this is a caveat question. We talked about food in the pre-show talk. You go to a diner or a restaurant and you order your main meal. Now your side is going to be one of 4 options. Which one would you order? Curly fries, sweet potato fries, steak cut or seasoned?
Steak cut seasoned.
I'm going to say, because our cuisine over here is pretty much, if you can freeze it and then bung it in the oven, I'm going to go with curly fries. That takes me back to my roots, you know. Yeah. Just fucking bag of frozen curly fries in the oven, half an hour, lovely jubbly. I'll go for them.
Well, I'm going to have to go because we're English, so fish and chips. That's one of our national dishes. So what's that? Steak cut? Is it?
So yeah, the fat ones. Steak cut, the fat ones.
The fat ones, you know,
Yes.
with salt and vinegar. I've got to go traditional English, I'm afraid.
Yeah, me. Love it.
Exactly the same. Yeah, skinny fries, whatever. No, big fat chips. Steak cut.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Okay. You get home from a gig or work. Late night, you're sitting there, you're watching TV or you're dabbling with something. Your go-to late night snack.
A bowl of sugared cereal, like something very sugary. I don't know if you get Frosties, you know what I mean?
Like Frosted Flakes?
Proper stoner food, you know. So it gives you moisture in your mouth as well, so you can get that sort of that would be it for me.
How about this, Ricky? You'll love this. How about sugar-free Skittles? That's it.
There you go.
No, because I've just cleaned my teeth, so I can't
I
be.
thought you said you weren't doing anything demonic on here, because that is a fucking sin. Do you know what I mean? Sugar-free.
Well, not for anything. The
Agree.
guys, the guys did get to see me make a bottle of sugar-free Skittles water. So, like, you know, it may be an ongoing theme. I'm not sure.
Oh god. Totally. I'm telling you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot. We forgot
We
one.
forgot Pete.
It's all right.
Yeah,
Pete.
Come on.
I mean, if you guys have like Nutella, the chocolate hazelnut sort of spreads that you put on a toast, spoonful of that straight out of the jar now. That's good.
Straight out of the jar.
Dang.
That's demonic in itself. Okay.
Yeah.
Because one other thing that really goes great with Nutella is marshmallow fluff,
Oh, yeah.
Marshmallow fluff.
and
Is
Marshmallows.
that together, 2 slices of bread, boom, you're good.
wow.
Strong choice, man.
You know, that was pre-diabetes.
Right, I was going to say, you don't tell your doctor about that one, do you? You know.
No, either that or take a very big shot of insulin before you do it, because you know, then you'll be like that all over the place. Okay, third question, and this goes back to a little bit of the previous discussion that we had before we played the track. Name one person, present, past, or deceased, okay, that you would want to be up on stage with doing a show.
With.
That's a good question.
Now.
That's a good question.
Damn.
That's why these are the 5 questions of death, because again, you never know which direction I'm coming from.
Ninja.
Well, I think you probably want to. I wouldn't want to stand next to someone who's better at playing guitar than I am. You know.
Well, think of it as the monumental
So
duet.
I'm gonna have to
type
pick a
deal.
bassist or a drummer or a singer.
Love
Come
to
on.
keep them on their toes.
For some reason, Hawkwind keeps popping into my head, you know, because they used to have that very voluptuous lady who was on acid, just dancing away with all hanging out, and like, you know, if I was on acid as well, that would be a fucking show and a half with Lemmy. I forgot her name, but anyway, that would have been.
Yeah,
I
Lemmy.
think I'd go with that, man. Yeah, I think
I
I'd go with
think
that.
Lemmy would be high up there.
Lemmy or Hawkwind, you know, just vibing it.
Yeah.
Try to think of Keith Moon would be entertaining,
Yeah.
but I mean, if it was a one-time thing, yeah. Otherwise, I'd be worried about my health and safety with him blowing up drums too often. But for a one-time thing, I mean, you have Keith Moon behind you. You need a good bassist though, because Keith Moon didn't keep time. He just did what he wanted, didn't he?
Surprised that nobody
But
said,
that'd be
like,
entertaining.
sharing a stage
You wouldn't forget that night.
with fucking
No.
know, someone like Stalin or Adolf Hitler, so you just get, you know, fucking Put a gun to their head. See you later, you bastard.
All right.
You know, that would have been all right. You know, I mean, I just thought about that. Yeah, I could finish it all. Well, I'll ditch the Hawkwind chick and I'll assassinate Hitler. That'll be better. That's better for.
Can I have Lemmy then?
You want to kill Lemmy?
No, I'm not killing Lemmy. All right.
See, this is where we love to do these things. If you were to pick one prototypical huge venue that you guys would want to either open or be part of the main stage for, where would that be?
Trying to think of one that's big but it's got character. So not the O2 Arena.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably just really enjoy playing somewhere like where it all started, man. Like the Cavern in Liverpool, man. Like, as you can see, I'm wearing my Liverpool soccer shirt here. Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'd probably where the Beatles all kicked it off. The little Cavern.
Yeah, that'd be a great venue. Yeah, probably. You know, I think I'd quite like to play rather than a big festival. You know, because you get a real kind of
as well if it was too big.
Yeah. But yeah, maybe we've got a couple of big festivals. I'm sure we've got plenty in the US, but there's one called Download up in the north, and their main stage is just the history of acts that have been up there. I'm going again this year. You know, nearly anyone has played on there, and yeah, I really to headline there. That would be some experience, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was watching the Pink Floyd concert they did in Pompeii, like in the ruins of Pompeii, with all the volcanic ash and stuff. So to play somewhere
very interesting. Very interesting. I like that.
Do you know what I mean? Like rather than necessarily a famous stage in a field or like a concert venue, yeah, to play somewhere unusual that other people haven't played so much, that'd be really cool.
And I was going to say, you got the audience there all, encapsulated in time. You know, they're not going nowhere. Whether you suck or not, they can't move.
They can't walk out on you.
Souls, you know.
I think we'd be too loud for Pompeii, wouldn't they? Too much vibration.
You never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
Hey, you can make ruins out of anywhere. It doesn't matter.
You've had a few
make ruins out of
in the
anywhere.
US that have done a good job, haven't they? Unfortunately.
You know what? And it's funny because I asked that question, and not one band that I've interviewed has said the place that I would think they would want to play, and that would be Madison Square Garden. The world's most famous arena. I've not heard one artist say they want to play there.
I think that's probably because that's just like for an amateur group of musicians, that's just like too, we're already like in, Dreamland anyway, talking about Pompeii and the Cavern, but, like a place like that, you're thinking, nah, do you know what I mean? It's too unrealistic.
We wouldn't say no.
No, exactly,
no, we definitely wouldn't say no.
Believe me, if I make that happen, you guys are here. You're done. I would get that done. I do pull a few strings here or there.
I think, the idea of just a British band or any band really breaking America these days is both. It's not even in our minds, It's so far off. But yeah,
what's the music like out in America in terms of like the
live,
or the genres and stuff? I mean, is rock still popular out in America? I know
rock is popular. It is overshadowed by like rap and R&B.
EDM.
Like if on the prototypical music dial, there's maybe 2 or 3 rock stations out of God knows how many stations there are out here.
Yeah.
I get it. Like it's more to me, and I kind of say this in a really weird way, and I use Metallica as the new level on this because I'm not a fan of the new Metallica stuff.
No,
to be honest, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I've dogged it the last 3 shows that I've done. It's not the same. Like, some bands really should just call it quits.
Yeah.
Like, they've reached their pinnacle. They're just out for notoriety at this point to say, okay, we're still here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you mean, yeah.
But for me, like, I listen to, my email's full of them all day long. All independent artist stuff. And I find that the independent artist stuff is better than the mainstream.
Absolutely.
And there's, again, so much untapped talent out there. You guys, for example, have so much untapped talent out there because your music is experimental with every track that you bring across that it probably would sit better on a track than a Metallica track, like the new 72 Seasons album. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest.
Absolutely.
It's difficult.
It's good, but it's straight up thrash metal.
Because you're comparing,
it's
like,
what they did for Kill 'Em All, really. You know, it's good, but it's not revolutionary in the sense that they've essentially they had that phase. They had their thrash metal phase. Then they went experimental, and they went with Load and Reload, went a bit indie, and you know, and explored other genres. And now they've kind of done what a lot of bands do, as you say, to kind of bring back the audiences. They go back to their roots. I would say I agree with you in the sense there's a lot of talent out there that's not being listened to. But I think it's not just the big bands. I mean, they are doing it because people are buying their tickets. They're listening to their stuff. People just aren't. The live music scene has taken a real hammering. Societal changes means that most average people, they listen to the same artists over and over again. They you know, and they can do it easily. You know, they can do it easily through Spotify, whatever. You know, and they also tend to stay within those genres because and I'm not dissing Spotify, but you know, they suggest the same sort of stuff, and no one really breaks out of their comfort zone. Well, no, company excluded. But yeah,
what I would say is, like, I mean, like Metallica, like if a band wants to, I know, like there should be a cut-off point. You know, maybe, you know, why are you still doing it, flogging a dead horse? But I suppose if it brings them enjoyment, why not? And people want to hear the songs. You know, the problem is with rock as a genre, because I still think that rock is not dead, because you hear it through, like you were talking about rap. These guys, they're all fucking tattooed up. They're all fucking got guitars and their music. They're all, you know, some of them are all like, you know, they've transferred from metal and rock into rap. You know, they're like sort of like a new iteration of the rap rock attitude and like the lifestyle and stuff like that, but just in a different form. But, you know, and this is coming from me as well, myself, because I used to be a bit of a, like, you know, the get off my lawn guy, you know, a bit of an old dinosaur, you know, just wanted to keep myself, you know, sort of pigeonholed into this little genre of, like, I only want to listen to these types of bands. And unfortunately, like, rock and metal fans get annoyed why there's not enough rock or metal in the mainstream, but they're keeping them there because anytime someone who comes along who is slightly fresher, or, you know, it's kind of, you know, doesn't sound like the norm, they attack them and they don't like it. You know, they want to see like a fucking Scorpion or, you know, friggin' Metallica and Iron Maiden headlining the big festivals, you know, because they sell. You know, it's almost like, do you know what I mean? Like, even like bands like Bring Me the Horizon are finally getting like headlining in major festivals in this country, but they're like 20 years old. They're not fucking, like, you know, do you know what I mean? So it's almost like the mantle's not being passed on to the other generations for us to get hyped up about fresh new rock music, because it's kind of like they want to keep it all, you know, in this, I don't know, what do you call it, like this nostalgic kind of vibe, you know, back in my days, or, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm waffling a little bit, but, you know, I'm getting there, yeah.
No,
like, that's
because believe me, because I
like
here,
for me personally, like going to concerts like 20, 30 years ago for me, like the main band and then the band opening up for the main band, you were not like interesting hearing the bands opening up for the main band. But I think like now it's the other way around. You really want to hear something new, and hearing the bands opening up for the bands, like, it's more interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like,
to me personally, right now, like, I listen to all of the submissions that I get, and then I'm on YouTube, and on mine where I do all of my music searches for shows or whatever, there's always new bands popping up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say pound for pound, a lot of the bands that I listen to are better than bands that have probably been around for 10, 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because it was said on a comedy video, like, this band was out here like 40 years ago, and now they have beards. Now you go backstage and they're beards and Ben Gay.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, you know, enough is enough. Like, stop beating the dead horse with a lot of the stuff that's coming out.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it were up to me, I would switch off some of the older bands and be like, hey, you know what? Here's your retirement papers. Fuck off. And let's get some new blood in here, because the independent bands, the independent artists are what's keeping a lot of genres alive.
Yeah, exactly.
whether it be thrash or metal or rock or grunge, those are the ones that really should be rising to the top to keep everything more fresh.
But that's exactly it. It's like the fresh blood is not it's not being accepted by the people who listen to that genre as well, because they don't want to hear anything that just doesn't sound like what they're used to. And this is, I mean, you know, when Metallica, I think Metallica's Master of Puppets, you know, when Stranger Things came out, metal fans, you know, like, well, you're always complaining why metal's not popular no more in terms of like, you know, the mainstream. And then that show made that song go to number 5. I mean, I don't know how old's that song? 20-something years old, maybe more.
Well,
you know,
80s.
So that was made in the 80s.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, fucking 30 years or so, like, and that went to number 5 in the for like fucking weeks, and they were just complaining that they've sold out. It's through because it's through Stranger Things, but it's like, but Stranger Things is is popular now. It's like what all the kids and everyone listen to, and you've got generations of kids listening to your music from 30 years ago because of that show. You know, it's like, you know, it's the same with when you get people like Kanye West, or people who you wouldn't think would be wearing a Morbid Angel shirt or Cannibal Corpse shirt. You know, they wouldn't know the band, but it's free publicity, man. You know what I mean? Because you think how many followers Kanye West has. I don't give a shit if he knows who Metallica are, or if he's just wearing it to try and look cool. He's now promoting that to a bunch of new audiences, like the kids. It's, you know, that's, you know, the younger generations that you want to appeal to, because they're the ones inevitably they're going to be the ones who can take like our genre, the genre we listen to, back into the mainstream, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the same, you hear a mainstream band coming up with a new album and you listen to it and you're like, you're like boring. And then you hear something new, like a new band like you guys and whatever. And you're like, fuck, this is fucking good. Like something new, a new sound, a new voice, something new.
But you know what? There's so with, I know like Spotify has been like a, you know, the fucking dagger in the hearts of like musicians and stuff and screwing them over and stuff. For the rest of the you know, the normies over here and like yourself, you know, just to have like that whole plethora of like literally every song, you know, that's ever been created, you know, on your phone, and you just got access to anything you want. That's, you know, and I enjoy it so much because it costs me nothing. So if you name me an artist, Ben, go check this band out, I'll go sure, and I'll listen to it. It's cost me bugger all. You know, it's literally cost me the subscription. That's it. So I'm always up for being more adventurous. And there's, like you said, there's so much good music out there. You know, from old and new and independent as well. You know, it's like one platform where everyone, from the superstars to the, you know, the bums can get on there and you know, share music. So it's a good time for, you know, for live music and for music in general, I think.
Well, what I will say is the big bands being so big, because it's so difficult to get attention. Us independent artists have to raise our game, you know, because we are competing. We are going on Spotify, you know, and you get a notification of new Metallica album, you know, like if you listen to one of our songs, it needs to be, at least production wise and everything, it needs to be at that standard. Otherwise, you know, people aren't going to listen to it very long. So. It is. There are a lot of artists fighting for attention now, and so in a way, it raises the standard. But also, like everything, it's always a double-edged sword with all of these things, you know.
And also, it's like for me, like you guys and everything. Like I'm really enjoying, and like it gets a lot for me to like spread your music and like listen to these guys. And like spreading the independent artists like as much as I can.
We do the same with other bands like, you know, Clay Soldiers and stuff. They're great guys. We've played a few gigs to them and we help them out. They help us out. You know, it's like, you know, we all sort of clump together and help each other out. So it's, you know, if anything, it's like, it's not a competitiveness. I mean, we just play music because, you know, I don't give a shit about numbers. I don't care about how many people come to a gig. You know, all I care about is that we do our best with this piece of music and can we enjoy playing it. That's literally the only target and goal, really. So there's no competitiveness. You know, with other bands that we play with, we support each other and it feels really good, you know, like a little network. We're all in the same boat. We're all, you know, sticking it against the man, grinding against the inevitable, you know, impenetrable wave of like trying to get anywhere from, you know, pub level to, you know, somewhere beyond that, it's
To
like,
Pompeii.
Yeah, it's a Pompeii. Exactly.
Listen, I would show up for that show. I'm telling you right now. I would just expect a backstage pass. You know, I don't want to be out with the commons.
But it's
So when you guys are playing live, doing a gig, which song is the most like popular? You get the most thing from the audience.
Pick's probably the best one to fill you in with that one, I think, because he's got a good view from the backstage, and I'm gone.
Yeah, it's just, sometimes ironically, sort of like In My Last Memory, which was off the EP, or Time on Prescription, the ones that are maybe not the heavier ones, because you'd think maybe you might lose the audience a bit there, or there's the risk of that, but they seem to go down pretty well. The sort of the more emotional, sort of gentler starts to it that then builds up to something, rather than some of the heavier ones.
Yeah, I think they all comment that those songs like Time Prescription, which we're going to play, that has a much more stripped out acoustic-y vibe at the beginning and has a progressive feel to it. It provides that break. The heavier bits always sound heavier once they follow a lighter section. They do mention the kind of diversity and the progression within the songs, probably because, as you say, a lot of bands are following the template, and so really, Time Prescription and In My Last Memory, which is an odd time signature, which people pick up on as being slightly different. So, and I think, as we've said, we're trying to be different. We're trying to, it's against the current, as Ben said, but we are. If you do somehow manage to hit a nerve, if you're lucky, like a Nirvana who goes completely against the grain, you can end up actually, setting a new, not a trend, but you can really make your mark. And we feel that's that's what we want to do, but we also feel that's the best way, really, of potentially, really making a mark on the industry is to do.
And they're also the two songs we get the least booing and heckling.
Yeah. Hey, that's not
Get
true.
up the stage, you bums!
That's not true. We don't get enough people at our gigs to boo.
Learn to play your instruments, man. Yeah, so.
But yeah, certainly, yeah. Those two that we're going to play, or we have coming up, and Time Prescription are quite popular.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have time on Prescription loaded here for you guys. A little bit of backstory before we get into the track.
Well, this song, in a nutshell, is basically about almost being aware of your mortality and, just realizing that time and your life can be so brief, and just be over and done with. And what kind of galvanized that, I always had the concepts in my head, but if you don't mind me saying,
go ahead.
Paul's dad passed away like really, really quickly, in the space of a few weeks. Well, in the space of a week, really, and it just really set home. That just gave me something to really draw from. You're there 1 minute, and then the next, it's just you're not. So, and it was a really, really dark time for Paul.
Yeah, and also Ben, like in his work, he works with a lot of people towards the end of their lives, and
I do care work, and I work with people, and I palliative care and stuff. So those kind of things, but. Like the people I work with, some of them in the hundreds, some in the 90s. So that is expected at the end of their life, rather than it's sort of like just being done and dusted with before you know it, And just actually what's working as a carer was actually what's made me fucking realise that you're not, infallible. And you think, fuck, I could stroke, dementia, heart attack, cancer. You think, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? It's like a gauntlet of life. You think, you know what I mean? You're just aware of your mortality, and you think, fucking hell. So anyway.
Yeah, it's just about all of that and making the most of the time that you've got, and just being aware that life is fragile and precious, really, and to kind of use that, but use it in a positive way to sort of stimulate action, to not procrastinate, to get on, and it's cliche, but do what you want. I don't want to say follow your dreams, because that's really cliche, but get out there and actually and do it, because you might not be around tomorrow.
They never come true, man.
I'm not gonna.
You're gonna run the mill on the 9 to 5.
I really can't say that because I'm doing a radio show, so I guess I kind of caught just the edge of the dream.
You're trying to make this work as well. It's about.
If you don't have a dream in life, it's not. There's no point being alive if you don't have something to live for.
Yeah.
I'll just cap that before we go to the song. Have a realistic dream.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And run toward that, because if you put that prefabricated one together, it probably won't work.
Madison Square Gardens, no.
Yeah.
Pompeii, possibility.
Never say no.
Yes. All right. This is Time on Prescription by Silence Surrender. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. On the show today with Silence and Surrender, Lars the Viking, and I am the Master of Mayhem.
Treading the line, treading the line, standing, staring with one foot on each side, wondering which side I ride. Treading the line, searching for time. Will I know when I must go? Whoa, it's getting too much for me now. It's getting on top of me now. Limbs frozen, some skin feeling sick inside. I wonder how much time I buy. It's getting on top of me now. Feeling surreal. It's not fair. It's too can hide me away. just a name, it's an attitude.
Pipebomb Radio NYC. Silence and Surrender. Time on Prescription. In studio with the Viking and the guys from Silence and Surrender. I have just one little question about Time on Prescription. The sudden drop off at the end. Where in the creativity did that come from?
Honestly, it was just it was a little bit of guitar from that song that existed like years and years before it actually came to fruition. And I liked it, and I just fucking had to tag it on the end. So that was it really, you know, like it just, for better or worse, I just fucking tagged it on, and these guys, and just make it work as well. So
because it definitely from perspective, it's like, oh, wait. Oh, you know, like it gives it its unique sound because it just changes suddenly.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the track comes out great.
Yeah, because the whole track, a lot of it is building up throughout the track. You can see that general build up, and you're just assuming that that's going to continue. It's going to get heavier and heavier, and either like cut out when it ends, or you know, you're going to get that. And I suppose it's reflective of life, isn't it? It's not really like that, is it? It's much more of a
returning back to more of a kind of a melancholic kind of sour note as the sort of the song starts off, because it opens up and gets quite sort of rock and roll with the sort of the instrumental part, and we just kind of want to just the come down, if you know what I mean, a little bit discordant, a little bit, you know,
it reflects life as well, doesn't it?
That's just, you know,
doesn't it? Life feels
just
like
it back down again, you know.
It certainly for us, it's definitely feels like it kind of builds up life, doesn't it? And then obviously, you know, with the tone of what we were talking about in terms of the preciousness of life, and you know, a lot of people, if they get the chance, they do tend to wind down towards the end of their life, and they reflect. And I suppose, you know, subconsciously, that's probably why we decided to end the song that way.
Lars, any final questions for the gentleman?
Like when you write a new song, does it come like boom like that, or is it more like long-term thingy?
They come in spits and what's the word?
Bits and bobs.
Bits and bobs, spats and stuff like that. So little sections. Like I said, sometimes it can come almost a whole song completed. Other times, just a bit here, a bit there. So I'll return back to what I said earlier, just having lots of projects going, you know, just simmering away, so you can just return back to them. And then when one starts getting a bit cool, you go to the next one and just continue on with that.
Yeah. So it's not like we had 12 songs. We worked on them one by one and then built them and finished them. That's not how it's. In fact, we probably got maybe 7 or 8 other songs in various stages, some of which we picked up and dropped, and I mean, because you can't force creativity, and sometimes if you try, you just end up getting frustrated.
You guys know yourselves as well, like, you know, like Paul said, I always get his two mixed up. Like, this one's don't do drugs, kids. Rot your brain. No, so basically it's like you guys have been creating stuff like that, you know, like, you know, Ricky yourself, mate, you know, like you do, you know, you create it, you know, it comes to you, do you know what I mean? And then you just capitalize on it, you know, you know, I mean, it's like going fishing, you chuck your line out, and then sometimes something bites, sometimes it doesn't, but as long as you keep putting your line out, eventually you'll catch something, and then you can just like work from there. So there's no rhyme or reason, you know, to it really.
Yeah, we wish we could set out a step-by-step guide of how to write a song.
Be less frustrating.
It's better than us.
That's the magic. That's the magic of it. Discovery, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have to embrace it really. You just have to know that, you know, you can get so far with a song, and then you could just really want to finish it off, and it might not ever get finished off, and it might just that eureka moment might happen several months down the line. But the good thing about being a band, there's always other things to keep you occupied. If you're struggling with a song, there's plenty of promo, there's plenty of, you might have with the video, as you said, the video that you might get kind of like a visual aspect of an existing song that you didn't think of before, and we explore that instead. So, you know, you kind of go where the kind of route, the the current takes you, really.
Where you just do the crazed artist thing. You spend ages, drawing something, and then you just think, oh shit, you screw it up and you throw it in the bin, and then you just, do you know what I mean?
I've done that.
Yeah, I bet you have. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as long as
I've done that
ear off,
many a time.
Don't do a Van Gogh, mate.
No, me and Van Gogh, we're like this. Like we don't come next to each other unless we're sleeping. That's the only time that any creativity comes together. So,
Ricky, how many ears have you got under those headphones, mate? Have you got, you've got 2 under there, have you?
I think there may be 2, there may be 4. I'm not sure. If you see double, then there's probably 8. All right. So the one question I'm going to ask you guys before we get all the social stuff out of the way. If there was a group that you guys have played with or like you're collaborating with right now and would want to be interviewed on Pipebomb Radio NYC, who would it be?
Are we talking about like a
one that
like groups that you guys open show you do shows with, or?
Well, if that was the case, it would be our boys from Clay Soldiers. I know you guys have interviewed them before, man, but they're a fabulous band, great music, and a really great bunch of lads. So any exposure they can get is well deserved. So I would nominate them 100%.
Yeah, and another good band that we supported, Call of Sirens, female-fronted alternative rock. They were lovely guys, and they've been helping us out with some of our other technical stuff. So yeah, they're called Call of Sirens, and they've got a new EP out.
Any other bands that you have over there, like in the close?
Yeah, you got
rock or metal or whatever that you have been like seeing or like listening to and like.
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, as I say, those two were probably the ones that certainly with Clay Soldiers and Call of Sirens would recommend them. There's another band, a few other bands we played with.
Armstrong Gun,
and they're
like a Motorhead kind of punk.
They've got definitely that vibe. And Aowners, who have much more of a kind of
instrumental, they're like sort of guitar, bass. Do they have a drummer?
They were kind of. They're a bit like Tesseract. They've kind of got a more progressive, djenty style. But yeah, they're interesting and they're great guys as well.
Yeah, nice.
All right, now it's time for all of the maniacal paperwork bullshit. Let's get all the socials out.
Yeah. So we're gonna do some shameless self-promotion now, are we?
Yes, the shameless self-promotion, because that's what we do on the show.
Let's do a bit of shameless plugging there. But this is a copy of our you can do it, Paul, of our album Feartopia, which is out on the 19th of May.
Yeah, nice. And it's on this newfangled thing called a CD.
Yeah, CD.
I don't know. I mean,
this artifact,
Yeah, apparently you can use them to rest your mugs on. I think
we'll be using them as coffee coasters.
As coffee coasters, yeah. They make great coffee coasters. Yeah. And if you have a very newfangled device called a CD player, you can also play the music on there. But if we're kind of keeping ourselves in the other merch, we've just released some more merch, badges and stickers, but
nice and sexy.
Pièce de Résistance.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, these are already out now on our Bandcamp. So it's the album art, the ever watching eyeball with the sonar little design in it.
So that's the album cover, sort of reimagined for what else? Oh yes, and in terms of socials, yes, we're on all of them. So Instagram is probably our most active, but we're always on YouTube. And if you Google Silence Surrender, you'll get there. And Facebook and even TikTok,
Twitter.
We managed to work out how that works, and that's quite an impressive achievement for guys of our age. So on all of them. Trying to understand the ball.
We haven't quite sold our soul to TikTok yet. We're not going to be like doing some synchronized.
But Instagram is the best way to get hold of us, I think. We've got our band emails, etc. So I think that's
on YouTube. Yeah.
And all the music videos that you were talking about, including one for Time Prescription, that's all on YouTube. And there'll be a lot. We're actually doing visualizers or videos for every single track. on that album, so none of them are getting neglected. So they'll be released and put up on YouTube after the album's out on the 19th of May. I don't even know.
So, yeah, go check it out.
Yes. See No Evil came out on May 19th. Now Silence and Surrender's Feartopia comes out.
Yeah,
there you go. It's like it's meant to be, man.
Yes. There's the sheer irony of it.
Yeah.
Lars, any final comments for the fans?
No, just like it have been a pleasure having you on, and like really love your music and everything. So.
Well, thank you very much for having us on your show, guys. We really appreciate it. And we're really glad to see you guys are coming back, man. Do you know what I mean? So after your hiatus, so it's nice to see you guys getting back to doing things you enjoy, you know?
Yeah.
It's been a very long process, and we're still figuring everything out. Like I will say, first off, guys, thank you for giving us the time, because we've been on for almost 2 hours now.
Have we?
And well, I started at 3:30, but like you guys came on at like 3:45.
Wow.
So we're in like an hour and almost 2 hours into this.
Wow.
So I've been wasting for all your time then.
It's flying by.
Listen, I know you guys just had band practice. I see all the instruments in the back. I'll catch you guys on the next interview for all of that lovely. See, I normally would pick on all of the toys.
But you might be able to see a couple of
yes, the
Lemmy in the backdrop with Nirvana. So yeah, this
and here's the senseless knowledge for this interview. The Lemmy is actually Jack Daniels and Pepsi.
Oh, really? Okay, all right.
They named that the Lemmy because that was Lemmy's pre-gig drink before he went on stage.
Yeah, and I heard apparently when Lemmy passed away that Jack Daniels went bankrupt. That's what I heard.
He ordered it by the case. On behalf of the Viking, I am the Master of Mayhem. Those are the guys from Silence and Surrender. This is Pipebomb Radio NYC, and we are out of here.
Nice.
Yes. Rock on! Pipebomb!
This is Alex Alcazaz, aka the Bear of Texas, and you've just listened to another amazing episode of Pipebomb Radio NYC Season 4, hosted by Lars the Viking Johnson and Ricky the Master of Mayhem Litwinkowicz. Don't forget to check out any Pipebomb merchandise at paintrainpipebomb.threadless.com for great merchandise at amazing prices. Check out our great shows like Ringside Chaos, Pipebomb Metallic, Cowboys Talk, and Into the Net FC on all listening platforms. Tune in again next time for another episode of Pipebomb Radio NYC.